So, what causes kids to bend the truth? Well, we're going to uncover exactly why your kid may be lying. I'm Dr. Roseann, and we are continuing on our Behavior Decoded series as we're diving into why children lie. Wow. Lying is one of those things, man, when parents come in and they are offended, pissed off, and irritated, it's usually because their kid is lying. Anger can be a big part of that as well, but lying is one of those things where parents just take it so personally. And, it's hard to understand when you're an honest person, you're a person with integrity, you're doing a great job, the best you can, 80% awesome parenting, and yet you have a kid that lies. And it's super perplexing, right? So, why do kids lie, right? What's really the reason? There's lots of reasons. And let's talk about normal lying versus a clinical issue, right? Because some kids really lie as their go-to way to deal with things. But lying is actually normal. I love busting my kids in a lie. Like, I feel like I'm like the FBI. They know that I've had a lot of extensive training in lying. And I'm not going to go too much into it, but actually, I really have. It's kind of like a cool thing. And people lie to me all the time, and I don't say anything. I just file it away. Your body language, actually, the way you move your eyes, there's all these different things that can tell. People are like, it must be so amazing. I'm like, it is amazing. And I use it to my advantage. But it's a little sad because sometimes people lie to me and I'm like, why are they lying? We're talking adults, people. But when it comes to kids developmentally, as kids are getting older, kids will lie to avoid punishment. They'll lie um, uh, to test the boundaries of parenting as they are maturing and they're looking for autonomy. That's just sort of normal kind of stuff, right? Now, if your kid's lying all the time, about a lot of different things or particular things over and over and over. You try to address it. They also are, combative about it as their go to. Then you've got yourself a clinical issue. And it is much more common lying with when your kid has a clinical issue or neurodivergence that has difficulties with impulse control. But let's talk about why sometimes kids really get stuck in a pattern of lying, right? So sometimes it's constant negative attention. If your kid is struggling with impulse control, behavior, getting their homework in, a million other things, right, that are need your guidance all the time, that means that they're constantly being corrected. And so lying is a way to avoid it, right? Because besides that, frustration and embarrassment is a big reason why kids lie, right? So if they're constantly needing support so that, behavior correction, whatever you want to call it, that's frustrating. It's frustrating for you. You might be expressing that. A teacher might be expressing it. Gosh, I've been surprised over how loving teachers can be, but also how sometimes teachers can be really rough with kids and say some awful things that will stick with you forever, right? I remember, I think I've said this before, but our first preschool experience with Max, and we didn't know he had Lyme, but he had Lyme at that time. The teacher told me he was a feral animal. Um, yeah, that will stick with me for the rest of my life. I have to pray for her because can you imagine? A Montessori teacher, no less. But these are the kind of things, right? Like she thought that. What was her actions like towards my kid, right? She was like frustrated. He only made it a short amount of time and he, was on antibiotics for months and couldn't get out of his PJs after that. I think we made it a week and a half. I don't know what I was thinking. It was the wrong fit. But you do these things, right? You're kind of in it and you don't see it. But frustration and embarrassment is definitely a reason why kids lie a lot, and also just disappointment. They don't want to disappoint somebody else. They don't want to disappoint that teacher. They don't want to disappoint you. And they're looking for a way to control. And lying is really about control, right? So if you want to do something, if you want to avoid something, you're going to lie in order to have that control. And that is surprising for a lot of parents because sometimes parents, the more things feel out of control with their child, right? And that can look very differently for parents, right? I remember a mom coming to me and she was just mad at her kid because her 4-year-old couldn't make her bed. And I was like, is this like a candid camera episode? A 4-year-old making their bed. She tried. She did a pretty good job. I was thinking this 4-year-old sounds like she does better than Dr. Rowe in making her bed. And I was like, your expectations are completely out of line. So if our kids are lying and looking for control, are we taking away control, right? And so what's the counter? What's the way to help our kids not lie? We want to give them more healthy ways for control, right? So how about giving your kids choices, right? And depending, like the parenting style of that you're authoritarian, not authoritative. Authoritative means you're putting boundaries in place, you're being clear, and you're still being loving. Authoritarian is like, you will do this or this is your punishment. You're literally taking away the free will of your child. Those kids, as well as if you have a parenting style where you're extremely lax, are actually going to produce the same kind of child, a child who's more prone to at risk behaviors, more out of control behaviors, because there isn't control, right? So one is you're giving all the control. That's not feeling safe to a kid. And then you're taking all the control from a child. That means they don't feel safe either. They don't have any control. And kids that can make autonomous decisions for themselves, man, they're so much better at not being manipulated or harmed by others. They have greater self-confidence and self-esteem. So when we are trying to support a kid who's lying a lot, right? Try to figure out, what is it about? Is it everything? If it's everything, man, you need some clinical support. Really find yourself a great child therapist, get some parenting support who can role play these situations with you. This can't just be support for the child. I think one of the greatest mistakes I see in therapy not being effective is that child therapists don't work with parents. Not all of them, but it's never going to work unless you're getting parenting support. You're the one doing all the hefty lifting, and 1 hour a week ain't going to move the dial, people. So get in there, give your kids choices, never more than 2, 3 taps, and really start giving them more control. You're going to see that their lying is going to go down. They're not going to lie as much. And we have to be consistent about this. You and your partner, whoever is, on your parenting team, talk to the teacher, really giving them clear choices, helping them to feel more self-confident, able to deal with frustration. Once you're able to feel more self-confident, you're probably going to unmask some of these issues that are sort of driving it, whether it's self-esteem or feeling anxious, whatever's going on. But lying is just one of the behaviors that we see in kids that need more support. So if you're looking for more support, go to drroseann.com// self-reg mastery. And this is our unbelievable course. I don't even want to call it a course. It's really just this portal that has AI that you can ask it anything, and it has crazy incredible resources. I've taken 3 decades of experience and given you easy to use resources that where you're not going to feel overwhelmed. I have the most common parenting issues, also have lots of great information about the 5 main clinical issues or areas that I work with, which is anxiety, OCD, PANS, PANDAS, ADD, executive functioning, and mood and behavior and autism is in there as well. So go in there today, get the support you need, and join our Calm Brain community.